Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. Last evening I had a very rewarding and lengthy conversation with the owner of Precision Colors, and we discussed many topics, one of which was the P800 situation, and he enlightened me as to what is actually taking place and why no one has been able to solve this. Okay, we'll touch on that on a second video, but in this video I'm going to get political. And no, I'm not talking about President Trump or President Obama or Hillary Clinton. No, we're not talking about that kind of politics. We're going to talk about the Supreme Court of the United States and what they're going to be looking at in the next few days. It has to do about printing. Oh boy. I'm going to read you the article, and if you guys want the link to it, I will provide you that link on my comment section. Printer makers are fighting to make it illegal for you to refill their cartridges. Wow. Yes, it's bonkers, the author says. And in the photo, they show Lexmark printers. By this week, and I think that is as of last week. Let's see if there's a date on here. Nope. Okay. By this week, the U.S. Supreme Court will hear arguments in a patent dispute. Impression Products Incorporated versus Lexmark International Incorporated. Unlike most patent cases, this one directly affects the daily lives of nearly every American. It requires the court to answer a simple question with profound implications. Does a patent holder have the power to dictate how you use a product after you buy it? Although you may not realize it, in many of the products you use every day, from phones to cars to toothbrushes and even medications, they are patented. These patents are largely invisible to the average consumer because of a crucial legal limitation known as exhaustion. Exhaustion provides that when you buy a product, you own it, even if it was patented. As a result, the patent owner's right to determine what to do with it are limited. You can use, donate, resell, or repair the product as you see fit. The patent holder no longer has any say in the matter. Oh, but wait. Of course, patentees like Lexmark are reluctant to give up their control. Lexmark sells printers, but more importantly, from its bottom line, it sells ink cartridges. As anyone with home printing can attest, the continuing cost of replacing ink can quickly surpass the one per decade expense of a new printer. Well, we tend to buy printers a lot more often than that, but that does make sense. Frustrated by consumers who buy cheap inks in bulk to refill their own cartridges, and by companies that do the refilling for them, Lexmark is attempting to use patent law to construct something resembling customer loyalty. The strategy isn't unique. We see it in mobile phone companies locking their customers' devices to stop them from switching to a competing network. We see it when car companies, electronic manufacturers, and even a tractor maker like John Deere try to clamp, and we have to go to the next page, down on independent repair shops. Often those efforts rely on software locks that restrict how customers can use or whether they can fix the things they buy. In fact, that was Lexmark's initial approach. The company argued that the use of replacement ink cartridges bypasses its software locks in violation of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. But the United States Courts of Appeal for the Sixth Circuit saw that argument for what it was, a perversion of the copyright law intended to thwart competition. Gets better. And kind of incredulous, but you just wait and listen to this. So Lexmark went back to the drawing board. Its next strategy was to use the patents of its ink cartridges to restrict what consumers could do with them. Lexmark began selling cartridges with a notice on the packaging insisting that the product could not be reused or transferred to third parties. I've been buying Lexmark cards for my Primera 2 from someone else. According to the company, anyone who refilled or resold those cartridges was a patent infringer, even if they owned them. So far, the courts have agreed. Can you imagine? It's crazy. The Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, which hears all appeals in patent cases, embraced the idea that companies like Lexmark can unilaterally set the rules for how you use the devices they sell you. As long as the patent holder gives notice of the restriction, the court reasoned you are bound to obey them. The Supreme Court should reject that power grab. It's inconsistent with a century and a half of precedents, and in which the court has consistently held that companies may not use patent law to restrict the use and transfer of a product after an authorized sale. Moreover, allowing patent holders to replace the straightforward rules of ownership with whatever restrictions best suit their bottom lines. That would impose enormous cost to the public. Rather than rely on these established rules of poverty, every consumer purchase would demand a diligent and tedious investigation. Can this ink cartridge be refilled? How many times? Can it be transferred? To whom? And under what conditions? More worryingly, many consumers simply won't invest the time to scour every label, click through every agreement or product manual to figure out the terms of each purchase. And that is a recipe for abuse. Imagine if Toyota Motor Corporation sold you a car but sued you for patent infringement after you had it repaired by an independent mechanic. Or if Apple Incorporated sold you an iPhone but told you it was illegal to resell it. Or if you bought a coffee maker but were barred from brewing your favorite local brand, and that would be Trader Joe's. You can't do this to me. Oh my God. All right, so that was it. That's the future Lexmark wants to create, and it's one of the Supreme Court needs to prevent. Some comments, and some of them are, I can't read in mixed company, but I will blank out the bad words. Someone, and just spitting out an idea here. Don't make the authentic cartridges $45. He said something before dollars, while the refill generics are only $11. Hopefully the courts will laugh this out of the room. Any decision otherwise is allowing a price gouging monopoly. Somehow Mr. Joe Garage can make a compatible cart for a few bucks, but Mr. Multinational Printer Company can't. Don't fight this in court. Ultimately, you can't win, as the products will always be made available through unenforced channels. And there's a lot more comments, and again, if you want to read them, I'll provide you with a link. But that is where we are at. Now let's go back and examine this a little longer. The idea of, you could solve this by not selling ink at such high prices. Well, they claim that it's their research and development, and that we cause those demands by demanding a product that never fades, by demanding a product that produces perfect or near perfect color reproduction and so on. But the fact of the matter is that yes, they can indeed produce inks cheaper, but this is how they make money. And so they are basically up to here with the third party, especially the compatible card companies, or companies that refurbish these original cards and then sell them under a different label. And yes, I have used many of those, and they are crap. Okay, so on their defense, and I very seldom defend the big corporations, they are pretty much sick and tired of printer owners reporting under warranty printer problems that were actually physically caused by really, really crappy ink cartridges that were refurbished one way or another. Can these cartridges be refurbished? Well, the fact that some office type companies ask you to turn them in for credit, the truth of the matter is that thermal carts like the ones Lexmark utilizes, the lifespan of that little printhead foil that's attached to the little container, it only really lasts for one ink load, maybe two. So to reuse these carts constantly is just destroying the print. After about the third refill, that printhead basically is destroyed, and about half your nozzles are gone anyway. But we use them for document printing, so what do we care? You know, it doesn't really matter much. So, but then when something goes wrong, they try to then get that printer fixed under warranty without telling Lexmark. In other words, they might even install a real cartridge and then tell Lexmark or Canon or whoever it may be that the printer has a problem and you have to fix it under warranty. That's kind of unfair, but again, who am I to say? That's just my viewing at both sides of the story. But hopefully the Supreme Court will laugh this case out of the room, and we will not be forced to or maybe do some hard time for refilling a Lexmark number 26. Oh Lord, can you imagine? All right, on the next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the P800 and what I learned about it, and give you a little hint about what's going on some other printer model. All right, so thank once again. Please subscribe, share, and like. And until the next time, happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.